Hi there, I'm Drew Badger, the world's #1 English fluency guide, and it is a pleasure to welcome you to another advanced listening practice lesson. In this video, I wanted to talk about just an interesting thing I discovered while I was reading a book recently. This is a Roy Williams book about advertising and sales and things, and I just thought it was a really interesting idea. So he talks a lot about psychology and how we think, and he was making an interesting point about why we like staring at ocean waves or watching sunsets, or why we like even looking at fire. So all of these things, people try to give lots of different explanations for them, and I don't know what the correct definition or the correct reason why we may be doing any one of these things, but I know I enjoy doing them. I can sit on the beach and watch the ocean all day long. It's just really comforting and relaxing to watch it. And I also enjoy watching fire. I don't know why that is, but just sitting and relaxing by a fireplace, it's very comforting to me. But the interesting point that Roy was making in the book, and I forget what book, it might have been Magical Worlds, I forget. But anyway, the important thing was that just the idea, because I had not thought about it before. And if you've not thought about it either, it might be something interesting for you to think about. But one of the things that he was explaining is that if you look at something like a natural system, like the weather or, a sunset, waves, or fire, there are mathematical reasons why the fire would move in the way it does. But the problem is that there are just too many different things to calculate, and you would need a huge supercomputer to know exactly how one wave might move in a particular direction, or a flame from a fire would move this way instead of that way, because maybe an air current at a time goes this way and something else, or it burns a particular thing in the wood and moves in a particular direction. So there's absolutely a particular reason why something happens like that, but it's almost just beyond our ability to think about it and our ability to see it and our ability to predict it. So when we're looking at something like that, we're fascinated by, and this is according to Roy, we're fascinated by the ability for something like this to happen, but that we can't quite access it. So for people that are in the stock market, it's a fascinating thing to watch the prices of something move back and forth. You've got all these different people that are affecting the price, and it moves up and down, and then the psychology of that, how something works. It's similar to maybe something we would see with ocean waves or the flame of a fire. And when we're looking at that thing, it's interesting to think about, I guess almost other things that are related to that, even something like fluency, and this is why I was thinking about the idea. Now, fluency is a similar kind of thing where you can watch someone that speaks fluently and you're wondering exactly what's the thing they did in order to do that. So what's the magic thing they did, or the same thing with business. What's the actual thing that person did in order to achieve business success? So people write books about this, and they're looking at that person, and it's almost trying to mathematically figure out how they did that thing so that you can do the same thing again. Now, we know it's possible for many people to get fluent, or for many people to achieve business success or anything else, because lots of people are doing it. But just like the waves in the ocean, or flames on a fire, or flames in a fire, each one is different and unique. So we know it happens, we know it's going to happen again, but it's really difficult to predict exactly how it will happen. And when people try to get a little bit too specific about something, about how something will work, like if the wind blows this way, but maybe they didn't notice that something else happened in the wood that produced the fire, making a completely different reaction. So when we're looking at something like that, like fluency, or being able to have a successful business, or being successful at sports, typically these are slightly different. These are really easier things to understand than all of the different things required for making ocean waves or flames in a fire. But it's a little bit different, or actually I guess quite different, from something where there is just a series of steps that you have to do, like making a particular can, or making a backpack, or producing any other item. So if you have you have some raw materials and you have steps in a factory that produce something, we know exactly how it happens, we know the order in which it happens, and there's really nothing mysterious about it at all. But something like developing a business or developing fluency, there isn't a string of things that happen in a particular order. It's more a web of different things that have to come together. And people describe kind of maybe different ways or different analogies of explaining this. One of them is that it's like a combination lock where you have to get all of the numbers right in order for that thing to happen. So in order for you to achieve business success, you've got to do actually a bunch of things correctly as opposed to just doing one thing and then one thing and then one thing. Now, there may be particular steps to doing something, but in general, something a bit more complex like that, it just requires many things to happen at the same time in order for that thing to occur. So when you're thinking about it, though, whether you're trying to get fluent in a language or get better at a sport or improve as a business person in your career, the important thing to remember is that you can still simplify the process and think like, okay, what are the actual different pieces required for doing this? And this is why I talk about the 7 English fluency habits and how you can focus on a particular one, improve that, and then move on to the next one. And then each of these supports the other and improves the whole process. But I just thought it was a really interesting thing, and I wanted to bring it up in a video like this just to talk about it. How kind of at the highest level, we've got things like waves and fire or the stars that move around. There's still just many things we don't understand as people, but we're fascinated by them. People will look up at the stars and wonder, why are those there? How did we do that? Or why am I here? Or other things, and then we can move down from that to something like ocean waves or other things that are like purely mathematical, but it's just too complicated for us to figure out. But we really like looking at that and almost maybe trying to guess in our mind about where something might go. So it's fascinating to look at a system like that and watch it behave in a way that's it's like we can almost predict it, but we really can't. So the same way that we like watching people that are really successful at what they do. We see a person like Michael Jordan play basketball, and we try to figure out what's the one thing that makes Michael Jordan awesome. And there probably isn't one. There's really a web of particular things that come together to make him a fantastic athlete or very well suited for the game of basketball, and that's why he does very well at what he does. So at this level of thinking, this is the kind of thing that we're talking about when we talk about fluency. So when you look at people that are fluent in a language, don't try to think about what one thing they did that got them fluent. I mean, it's easy to talk about that, but typically it's a bunch of the major things they did that increase their chances of fluency, and that's the same thing that can happen with you. So whatever your weakest fluency habit is, that's the kind of thing you should be focusing on. So if you have a hard time understanding native English speakers, then you should be listening more to native spoken English. So maybe even right here on YouTube, you can watch some of these videos to get some interesting and valuable tips about how to improve. But if you're watching somebody else, like an actual native English speaker talking about things, and then you can read the transcript for that video, that's going to help you even more for that particular skill. Anyway, think about what you're weak at and then understand that you have to improve a bunch of things in order to reach that overall fluency, and that's what's going to help you become a confident, fluent speaker. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this video. It's been a pleasure making it. If you have, do like the video. Let me know if you have any questions or comments in the section down below, and do share this video with anyone else that you think might be interested in learning with it. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and to see that one, make sure you subscribe to this video. Click on that subscribe button so you can be notified exactly when the new video is released, and I look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye. To continue learning, click on the link in this video to download Speak English Naturally, our free guide to speaking and sounding like a native English speaker. The guide reveals the 3 most important kinds of conversational English you must learn if you want to sound native, and will help you experience instant improvement in your fluency and speaking confidence. To download your free guide on a mobile device, click on the link in the upper right of this video. To download your free guide from a computer, click on the link in the lower right of this video. I look forward to seeing you in the guide.